Hi everyone. Before you dive into the episode, I just wanted to interrupt really quickly. You're gonna dive into this episode and you're gonna hear me call this podcast the Holistic Hustle Podcast. And that is because it used to be the old name of this podcast. And it was an amazing ride. I'm so grateful for the Holistic Hustle Podcast and what it served. But recently I've decided to rebrand the podcast based off the evolution of my own journey, my own story, and where God is calling me to go next. And so now the rebrand, which you may know already, is called Wisdom is Wealth. Didn't want you to be confused, so dive into this episode. They were amazing episode, amazing guests, amazing insights, and enjoy.
So it's really interesting. I think we're always doing better than we think we are, number one. And we don't give ourselves enough credit for like how good we're actually doing. And that's even now, there's still things where I'm like, I suck. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, you're just like one step at a time.
Hi, I'm Justin Buonamo, and this is Holistic Hustle. Holistic Hustle is doing things for the right reasons, working hard for the right reasons. The healthy balance of what work and progression and accomplishment and success should actually look like. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Holistic Hustle Podcast. I'm very excited for today's episode. I have a client of mine, but like a really good friend of mine. That's what we're going to call her today. And so we are blessed to have this woman in our business, but and definitely in our lives in totality. And she's just somebody that is super special to myself, my employees, but particularly my family and my wife and I. And she got the opportunity to meet, our baby P the other day, Peyton. And so had to get her on the podcast sooner than later. So I'm going to read her bio and then I'm going to welcome this beautiful human to the show today. So Erin Antroinen is the passionate owner and CEO of Next Gen Caregivers LLC, whose journey into caregiving was sparked when she simultaneously cared for her father battling cancer and her mother facing dementia and Parkinson's. Erin is your guide to a personalized caregiving approach, recognizing that each caregiver's story is unique. She's here to support caregivers at every stage, from newbies seeking logistics and stress management tips to seasoned caregivers looking for somatic awareness and emotional support, and those wanting to thrive on their caregiving journey. Erin believes that caregiving, though demanding, offers incredible opportunities for personal growth and fulfillment. And so Erin is incredible at what she does because God put these opportunities in her life to grow into this skill set when it comes to being a great caregiver, but also caring for yourself in the process, right? And though a very tough process that she went through and very painful, and I know she still deals with it to a very high extent day to day, she has made it her life mission to help other people with it. And people aren't going to stop getting old, and people aren't going to stop, unfortunately, at least right now, facing terminal illnesses like Erin's parents faced. And so this hits very close to home with me, as I just got off the phone with my mother this morning, and my grandmother has very late stage dementia, to the point where my mom's telling her something and in the next 5 minutes she is completely forgetting. And it's to the point where she doesn't even remember my mom's name, barely remember who she is. And then on top of that, my mom is caregiving for another 98-year-old woman. And so I'm seeing this very close to home. And though this space is very emotional and very painful, it needs people like Erin, who are incredible human beings, who have a great expertise at what they do, and they really can show up for you while you're in this difficult season. She will be that light and is that light for people, right, in this difficult time. But every person's life that she is in, whether they're a caregiver or not, she is an extreme light in those lives. And so for me, I can definitely say that. And so I'm just so proud of who this woman is and the progress that she has gained over the years in almost every facet of her life since I've met her. And so it was an absolute no-brainer to have this incredible human on the podcast today. So Erin, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you. How can I say anything after that? No, it is a complete honor. It's been such a joy. You were one of my very first people that I worked with. Like, literally, my dad died, my mom got her diagnosis, and I was like, I need help. Like, I'm navigating my parents' finances, my finances, and I was like, I need help. And so I remember jumping in with you, 4 years ago. Is it 4 years?
It was.
Yeah,
4 years.
That's insane. I feel like we've done like 10 years of life together in 4 years.
I agree. I feel like I've known you my whole life. And, it's when when we're together, it's just very easy. It's very smooth. And I think it's just
Yeah.
because you're just authentic human and you're just real. I forget the term. I don't want to say battle tested, but like you've just been through some shit and have kept a smile on your face. And like that, oh, that gives you depth. I like when people say that, like you have depth,
Yeah.
right? And so I think a lot of that depth has to do with the past 3 to 5 years of your life.
Yeah.
And so if you had to describe the past 3 to 5 years of your life, how would you describe it? And who did you become in the process?
Oh my gosh, 3 to 5 years. Man, it really all started like when I was first, before I was a caregiver, I went through a really major health crisis. I had a black mold issue, and was it attacked my nervous system and my body. And that was, it literally took me from being in the top 1% of my network marketing company to not being able to get out of bed, not being able to walk on my own. I was a nationally ranked power lifter and not being able to like lift my own purse off the floor. So that really, I think, prepared me for this season of caregiving and really walking into this. And how would I describe it? I mean, battle tested is definitely something that I would use. The whole process of becoming a diamond, I know that this is like overused in the self-development community, but like the coal that keeps getting put into fire over and over again, like it just felt like one thing after the next, from losing my home, losing my car, then my dad died, then my mom died. Like it literally was just like one thing after the next after the next. And I'm laughing about it now, but like it wasn't funny when I was going through it. And it was a lot. It was a lot. But who have I become as a result of that? Like the thing is like I wouldn't choose it, but I wouldn't change it. And like that is something that's so like sometimes when I say that out loud, people are like, you wouldn't change it. And I'm like, I wouldn't change like suffering that my family went through, that my parents went through. Like, I wouldn't change that. But, the thing is that like we learn so much more like when we go through those things, when we go through those phases of life. I'm at a phase now where I'm like, I choose not to learn through suffering anymore. Like, that's not.
I'm not mad at you.
I had my season.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
learned the lessons.
yeah. Yeah, I love that though, because I think, our mountains are given to us as medicine, right? And we grow in
Mhm.
the tension, but that's also not a license to just live in the tension constantly and constantly look for
Yeah.
chaos just because, oh, I'm gonna grow in this chaos. It's like, no, take the gentle seasons when they come. And I think that's one
Yeah.
thing that I've seen you do really well over the years. Well, two things actually that come to mind that I think you've become in the process. One, like very little blame on yourself for
Mhm.
things, right? If like obviously we all get in our head a little bit with shame and guilt, but I
Mhm.
feel like you catch it very fast and get yourself back on track. And you're just like, I'm gonna love myself to the highest of degree possible
Mhm.
throughout most of the days of the week. Again, no one's perfect, and we're all gonna slip and
Mhm.
get depressed and get anxious and get in our own heads, especially us gas pedal enneagrams, right? We'll be
Yeah.
all over ourselves from time to time. But I just feel like you've loved yourself throughout the years, which
Yeah.
has been really, really cool to see. And then also one thing, like you've just given yourself permission to not be okay from time to time too, as
Mhm.
well. All
Yeah.
right. Like the your awareness to when like you just need rest, right? Like I just need to
Mhm.
back off and I need some rest and take care of myself, right? And not beat myself up for it in the process has been beautiful. And I know if we're inside of our smaller group of friends and clients that we're in, it's been really inspiring for people to see. And so, one of the things that you have dealt with in the past 3 to 5 years would completely crush somebody and
Mhm.
dreams and lives, right? And spiritual morality, if you will.
Mhm.
But it has not done that for you. These mountains really have been your medicine. And so it's been a beautiful thing to be a part of, to witness you grow through and to be close to it in many ways, and super inspiring. And so if I had to give my answer to this, I think you've become, a much closer version of your most authentic self, because you were forced to have the hard conversations with
Yeah.
yourself, other people, and God through the tension, right? And then now you've learned so much. It just makes you such a valuable asset to this world. And that's why I wanted to have you on, this show. And my next question for you would, since you are such a valuable asset to this world, what would be the biggest piece of advice you would give someone that is going through serious adversity or loss, but still has goals they want to pursue? Because you did fantastic at balancing the both.
Yeah. Thank you. It's really interesting because in hindsight, like I can look at that now, I can look at the past and say that I did. But in the middle of it, I didn't feel like I was doing that. So it's really interesting. I think we're always doing better than we think we are, number one. And we don't give ourselves enough credit for like how good we're actually doing. And that's even now, there's still things where I'm like, I suck. And it's like, no, you don't. Like you're just like one step at a time. And also like I had to learn, like I'm one of those people that have had to learn through trial by fire. And when I first was going through all of these things and I didn't learn how to take care of myself. I didn't learn how to like nourish my emotions and allow myself to feel when all of this stuff was really heavy. And what happened is it ended me up in the emergency room. Like I'm caring for my mom. My dad had just died. I was in this place where I was trying to run multiple businesses, doing all of the things and still saying I was fine. Like, I'm fine. Like, I got this. I'm totally good. I'm doing all the quote unquote like normal stuff. Like I'm doing all of my normal self-care stuff. But what I didn't realize was that the things from my previous like self-care routines didn't transfer into the new chronic stress situation that I was in. It was
Mm.
actually stressing my body out more. And so I had to learn new ways to be and new ways to take care of myself. And, for me, it ended up being like actually learning how to rest, actually
Mm.
learning how to slow down and that doesn't mean we're slowing down and we're shaming ourselves for slowing down. We're guilting ourselves for slowing down. We're like letting our minds run. Like I literally had to learn how to be still and to be in silence and to, let the thoughts go by like clouds in the sky and not make meaning of things in my life. And, that was really challenging when I was in the middle of caregiving, but when you're waking up in the middle of the night with heart palpitations and you have so much anxiety that you can't even be with your person that you're caring for because you have so much fear that you're going to make a mistake and they're going to die. Like that's literally where my nervous system got to. And it got to a point where I really had to ask for help. I really had to bring other people in. And I also needed to be willing to like not to stop numbing my emotions, to stop numbing the things that, I talk a lot about the different stress cycles and, the trauma cycles that we can get stuck in just in life. Right. And, a lot of times we all get triggered and then there is a response and then we either recover from that response and like
Mm.
take care of ourselves or we numb out. And for a long time, I was numbing out. I was, covering it with alcohol. I was scrolling on social media. I was even using work as a band-aid to be able to get in and to like go be productive because it's what I quote unquote had to do. The S on my chest. And I was like, well, I have to be a caregiver. Like I was living by this like identity of who I had to be. And it was causing me to suffer even more because I wasn't allowing myself space when space was there, but I was in my mind, not creating space, if that makes sense.
It's a ton of sense. And it's like going into it, you have to ask yourself, like, really, what do I need to change in regards to my self-care to
Mhm.
be able to best care for somebody else? And
Yeah.
what I heard you say is sometimes it's not what you've historically done.
Yeah.
Right. It could be new things that actually feel weird. They feel counterintuitive, like
Yeah.
rest. Right.
Mhm.
Like, how am I supposed to rest? I got to put this S on my chest. Like you said, I got two people to take care of, three people to take care of.
Mhm.
And I can't make a single mistake because if I do, then something bad might happen to them.
Yep.
And so I love that though, because it's a mindset shift where it's like, if you can't pour from an empty cup, I know it's cliche, right? So especially
Mhm.
when you're caregiving, you have to really be honest with yourself. Like, what do I have to do to set myself up to best play this role? And a lot of
Yeah.
times it's different than what you've done in the past. And that
Mhm.
might be resting, that might be asking for help. And those things are okay. They don't make you
Mhm.
insufficient. If anything, right, they make you noble and honorable because I think the people of the highest self-worth, right? They know they can't do it on their own.
Yep.
right? They know that they're not a machine and that you need rest and you need nourishment and you got to take care of
Hmm.
yourself. And you also need to ask for help. And so I think that's
Yeah.
fantastic advice. And I think a topic like caregiving, just kind of like finances, we find there's so much information out there
Yeah.
and nobody really wants to face it in the first place, but you know you have to. You know, like I got to step up and get my finances together. Or like when you start to become a caregiver, it's like I have no choice. I got to step up, take care of my loved one or whoever I'm caregiving for. And so let me go to this thing called Google and or social media and start
Mhm.
searching what is the best information for my stress management or my grief
Mhm.
management or just caregiving in general while I go through this process. And so while
Yep.
there's a lot of good information out there, I think there's also a lot of misleading information out there or information that could lead us down the wrong path. And we don't have time for that with topics like caregiving and managing your stress and your grief through it. And so what are some stress management and grief management strategies that are pushed hard in the marketplace that you don't necessarily agree with?
Oh,
The
we're
laugh.
we don't have enough time. I think there's so many. I think when we talk through stress management strategies, this whole like, doctors used to always tell me like, just get respite care. Just take time. Just you need time
Mm,
away. And it's like, yes. And also, who's going to pay for that time away? Like, who's going to pay for that? Are you going to pay for that?
right.
Like,
Right.
like who's going to pay for the caregiver to come in and do that? And then who's going to help me to know how to leave? Like, because literally when you're caring for somebody at that level, it's like your parent becomes your child. And it's so unforeign. It's so foreign, not unforeign, that's a double negative, but it's so foreign to your nervous system that like your parent who has been the person that you've depended on since you came out of the womb, now all of a sudden you're the one that's changing their diapers. And I don't like to say diapers, please say briefs, changing their briefs. You're changing their briefs. You're making sure that their basic needs are met, that they're being fed, and you have a certain standard of care because you're the one that's taking care of them. And so how does a caregiver walk away and like learn to detach from that in enough time to be able to actually get rest and not be worrying, is my loved one, worried or taken care of? Like, are they being fed properly? Like, what if they're not happy? Like we start taking emotional responsibility for our loved one. And, I remember this very early on. Like, I had to learn healthy detachment. This is something that I work with my clients on, and how to, like not be anxiously attached to the person that you're caring for. Like, you are actually not responsible for their emotional moods. And I know that we take responsibility for so much as a caregiver. We, just think, like, just imagine, and I know I'm getting off topic. I will come back. But
Go ahead with it. Go ahead with it.
just imagine, like, if your loved one has dementia or some sort of neurological condition, like they're coming in and out of consciousness. And every time they come in and out of consciousness, they might live in a different place. They might, have like strangers that are taking care of them. They're wearing clothes that are not familiar. All of a sudden, they're used to wearing underwear and now they have briefs on. And it's like, you wonder why they get angry, or maybe they have a fit, or maybe they, say mean things, or, it almost makes me emotional because it's like, I can't imagine what that's like for them. And they can't even vocalize it. They can't talk about it. And so it's like, how can we enter into their world? How can we enter into what their experience and like extend grace? And the same goes for caregivers when they need support. How, because, the caregiver is carrying the mental load of this. It's not just the physical activities of what they have to do, but they're carrying the mental load of making sure that their loved one is happy, making sure that they're cared for, making sure that they know that they're loved despite whatever it is that they're going through. And so the self-care world is just like, go get a pedicure, go get a manicure. And that's great, but it's like, how about we teach you actual things that you can do even if you're with your loved one, that nourish your body, that nourishes your nervous system, because there's this thing called nervous system capacity. And if our nervous system is tapped out and we are stressed out and we're worried and we're in fight or flight constantly, and we're in that state of hypervigilance where we're always looking for something wrong, we don't have much more to like give to ourselves. You go tell a caregiver, like, go take a day off or go do this. They're like, I don't even know where to go to like book a pedicure. Like, I've been so sucked into my caregiving world for so long. I don't even know what to do. And so I think the conversation needs to change of like go and do to like, here's actually how you nourish your body so that you don't end up sick after all of this is over. Because that's really like, there's a staggering statistic that says two people that are the same age, one is a caregiver, one is not. The one who's a caregiver has a 63% higher mortality rate because they are a caregiver and the stress that comes with caregiving. And
It's a
so
big old number.
it is a huge number. It's huge. And so it's the effects of stress on the body, and like getting away for a pedicure or a weekend away is not going to cure that. What's going to cure that is learning how to take care of your body, learning somatically how to deal with the trauma that you're walking through day in and day out, and how to have healthy like attachment styles with the person that you're caring for and the caregiving team that you create, so you're not doing this by yourself.
So fantastic. It's like you're not shunning the pedicure and maybe a vacation. It could be a
No,
nice to
do
have.
it.
It's like a supplement, you know what I mean? But
Yes.
like the main entree, right? Like
Yeah.
the big bang for your buck is learning how to nourish your body. And you got into a few details there, but can you talk about like how you work with your clients on that?
Yeah, my body is buzzing right now. Like, I'm so
I
passionate
love it.
about this. Gosh, so it's really learning how to listen to your body. I always say like we speak English, but our body speaks Spanish. And so when you can learn how to listen to the language of your body, so when you can listen to the little cues, when things, because there's what happens is a trigger happens in your body, like something feels stressful, and all of a sudden your chest tightens. But if you're not aware, you don't even feel the fact that your chest tightens. That chest tightening then could also lead to like a back cramp, and then could lead to all of a sudden like you can't get up the next day because your body's so sore. Or it's just like this one simple thing. So it's learning how to listen to your body. And if you start to feel tension, just take a couple deep breaths. It's simple to simplify this, because I'm getting in the weeds. Learn how to listen to your body, and then know exactly what your body needs to build. So there's basically two systems I help my clients build. One is a stress response system. And so what that is when a traumatic like event happens, like they choke, they fall, something happens, you end up in the ER, like all of that, like we help you to have a system in place so you know what to do. The second thing is to have just a regular self-care system that you're working every single day. What are the things that nourish your body through food, through being outside, through exercise, through rest, and it depends on how your body goes into a stress state, will depend on what we do with those systems. So if you go more like hyper vigilant, where you're more hyper, and you go more into the fight mode or the flight mode, we're going to do things like yelling in a pillow, hitting things. We're going to do like pushing on the wall. We're going to like get the energy out of your body. If you go more into like a freeze or fawn response, we're going to do more rest. We're going to do more journaling. We're going to do more breath work, things that help you to get your body and rest. And then if you find you're in those states, sorry, if you're
Good.
in those states longer, then we may have to do some different things to help you to get out of those. But I have all sorts of resources that help people to kind of figure out where they're at and what they need.
I think that's fantastic because those are real needle movers, right? Like
Mhm.
you're gonna get a pedicure and you're gonna feel fine for maybe 10 minutes afterwards, maybe while you're there, if you even let yourself
Mhm.
calm down at not. But like what Lauren or not Lauren, Erin, oh, it's my wife. What Erin is talking about is just strategies to really understand your body, which is the one giving you the signals in regards to how you're responding to the stress itself. And when you can really understand that, you're understanding, I don't want to say the core of the problem, but you're understanding the problem at a little bit of a deeper level. And when you can address things at a deeper level, you get further results. And
Mhm.
so I think it's fantastic. I know a couple of your clients, and I just know you obviously very well. And as you can see, people don't even have to know you to see your passion and your expertise with this topic. And so I know this is a really hard topic for people to go through, to talk about, but like it's something you need support through, and you need the right support. You need high quality support. You need somebody
Mhm.
that is going to fight for you and your family, just like she would for her own family. And then also has a high level of expertise and strategies and and logistics and practices that actually work, right? That actually work. And so Erin is that person for you. If you're in that season of your life where you're approaching caregiving, you just started it or you've been in it for a while, I promise you, Erin's the woman that you want to connect with and lean on and have in your corner. And so, Erin, where can people find you and connect?
Yeah, so Instagram is the best place right now, Next Gen Caregivers. So you can find me there. Shoot me a DM.
Awesome. Awesome. And I encourage you to do so. Like, this is one of those topics where like you might be fired up as soon as you hear this. You're like, all right, I'm going to take action. And if you don't take action in the moment, what's going to happen is, a couple hours is going to go by, the devil's going to slip into your mind and tell you it's a stupid idea to step up and take care of yourself. Your ego is going to tell you that you're too busy and that this isn't as important as it actually is. So in the moment when you feel like taking action, when you are fired up, I promise you that's God. I promise you that's authenticity. I promise you that's something to move on. And please do. And she'll be waiting with her arms wide open. And so, Erin, we love you. Thank you so much for coming to the show today. And we appreciate you being here.
Awesome. Thank you. Love you guys too.
Awesome. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode of the Holistic Hustle podcast. Keep coming back for more. Share with your friends. Download if you haven't already. And we'll see you in the next episode.